So the game is called Stick Figure Shootout. It is an online, service-based, play-for-free, third-person shooter that takes place literally inside the notebook pages of a pissed-off, angry 15-year-old high school kid who's stuck in detention. And as we dive into his stick figure universe, his stick figure world that he's created in the notebook, it becomes apparent very quickly that this is a very hard M rated title. It is bloody, it's brutal, it's raw, and it's violent. We've actually been talking about this game for a while as stick figures by way of Quentin Tarantino. And if you look actually at a number of the games that I am most associated with, the God of War franchise, the Twisted Metal franchise, that same kind of, anti-establishment, fuck you to authority mentality that really runs through those games is front and center in Stick Figure Shootout. Now, you may be familiar with little GIFs or jokey, funny flash movies with stick figures being violent to each other that you see on the net. Now, it's important to understand that that is absolutely not the tone of Stick Figure Shootout. We play the brand very straight, very much like the movies that you see here, the kind of very violent anti-establishment films. We take the same inspiration, the idea that this is war on the streets for these sticks. This is the LA riots. This is gang warfare, and it's life or death, and we play it with that same sense of seriousness. And that comes through in the way that these characters move and animate as well, right? Because these aren't trained warriors. This is a street brawl. They're not trained Navy SEALs. They're not choreographed stuntmen doing Hollywood-style action movie animations. This is sort of unchecked, untrained, unbridled rage motion, basically, right? The idea is to motion capture these characters so they really move with the anger and aggression of a pissed-off high school kid. And so that blend of very aggressive motion capture, realistic blood, photoreal pyrotechnics, with the rough around the edge art style, we think gives the game a look and a feeling really unlike anything else out there today. And the presence of that kid is not just felt in the art style, but again, when things go bad for the sticks, he is their god, he's their creator. So they will pray, and sometimes the creator, in the form of this giant hand, the kid will answer. In this case, he'll smite your enemies and take out the bad guys for you. He functions as a jetpack, or sort of our helicopter that carries you around the level, lets you get through the space faster, and also creates great vantage points for taking out enemies. And he also manipulates and creates and erases and changes the database in real time. So in this case, Cowboy has prayed for an escape, and the hand comes in and draws him this sort of doorway portal. He flies through, but the enemy chainsaw character, he goes with him. And at that point, it's like hyperspace, the hyperspace button in the old arcade game Asteroids. You don't know where you're going to come out. Come out down on the ground floor, top of a skyscraper where there's a great pickup. You can also come out in really kind of crappy areas. This is a very non-advantageous place to come out of a portal, which is high up in the sky, and both Cowboy and Chainsaw plummet to their deaths. And then sometimes you come out in totally unexpected places. Here, Cowboy comes out in an interior, and remember, this notebook is drawn by a 15-year-old kid, so he's going to draw what he draws, right? And Cowboy just gets a little distracted, and unfortunately, in this case, that ends up costing Cowboy his life. So the hand's a pretty key mechanic in the game, and we'll talk about that actually in just a second. Characters and collecting characters are a really big part of the meta of Stick Figure Shootout. Very much like League of Legends, Pokemon, when I was a kid, the Smurfs. The idea being that there are coveted characters, there are rare characters, there are limited characters that the hardcore players, again, sort of the ones playing the metagame, are really going to get excited by building their stable, their garage of characters. But out of her 3 or 4 specials, one of them is this sort of banshee yell, right? And she does this screech and this scream. And when she does it, it forms this perimeter, this visual perimeter around you. And as long as she can keep you in that perimeter it's tweakable, but I would say it's like maybe 4 to 6 seconds, it begins to fill up. And if it fills up and you're caught inside when it's totally full, it'll drive you mad. You'll put your own gun to your head. You'll blow your brains out and kill yourself, right? These are our co-op character, where I would play one and you would play the other. And as you can see, we're chained at the ankle, which means it's kind of challenging to move through the space, right? So we can only go so far from each other, and then we have to start working together to navigate the environment. The payoff for this, though, is that we both do triple damage and get triple XP for any damage that we do and any activities we do while we're both chained together. Now, the bad news, or the other bad news, is that when you get killed and I'm still alive, I got to drag your heavy body around the level. However, one of my other specials that I can use when an enemy comes up to attack is I can actually pick up your body, and sort of swing it around and do a lot of damage to enemies, sort of using you as a dead human wrecking ball. One of the players on your team would actually be the hand, and this would be what his screen would look like, right? So he's got two viewports. He's got sort of his command and conquer, isometric aerial view, and then he's got a picture-in-picture view of, he can cycle between the 5 teammates on the field. And when he's up in this view, he can stab enemies down below. He can pick up teammates, carry them to the level. If you stab a bad guy, the bad guy's able to upgrade and unlock a move. So you'll shoot him the bird, which gives you XP. But he can kind of counter that if he's unlocked that counterattack and kind of blows your finger off. So you're now unable to use the hand for 5 seconds or something like that. And then the other thing that the player can do is you see these weapons moving around the side of the screen. The player who's playing the hand can also actually draw those weapons by tracing them, whether you're using your iPad or you're using Kinect or you're using your D-pad on your controller. And it's kind of a rough approximation trace. The faster you do it, the more accurate you do it, it creates a better weapon that you can then give to your teammates in the environment. And if you've done enough damage to the guy that you're fighting, you can grab him. And that basically, depending on the number of the pickup that you're carrying, right? So there's 8 core pickups. Each one has its own mini game. That opens up a God of War style mini game. So in this case, it's like a button pounding, right? So if you've grabbed the guy and you've got the shotgun, you start getting into sort of a track and field button pounding where they're fighting over the shotgun. In this case, the guy on the left wins, and he's able to stab the bayonet into the guy's neck and then pull the trigger. We start in a big open space, a big open desert. But the hand comes along and begins to erase it. And he erases it to the point that now you're ultimately fighting just on a long, narrow bridge that you can very easily fall off of. A few seconds later, maybe 30, 40 seconds later, the hand comes in, starts drawing again. Now he's drawing hallway walls and doors, and you've gone from a desert into this sort of rundown, dystopian apartment building. Different doors take you obviously to different locations. In this case, the player beats up this dude, goes out the exit door, finds himself on a pirate ship. A couple of things about this. So first off, not every level is like this. This is a single level. And then you only have about 6 to 8 of these pre-made chunks on this level. So there's a pirate ship, a hallway, a desert, probably 3 or 4 more. And they fit together in semi-random ways. So it's important to know that, it's not just like this thing is in real-time drawing procedurally whatever it wants. It's very canned and planned to some extent. So the first one, this is our sort of take on Capture the Flag meets Angry Birds, right? So Team A is here on the left. They're trying to get into the enemy hospital and kidnap an enemy general. They want to get the data that he has in his brain and get him back to the helicopter where they can download the data. And Team B is in the hospital and around the hospital trying to stop them. And so you launch by using sort of an Angry Birds mechanic. You launch your characters into the hospital as close as you can get to the hospital. In this case, Cowboy sort of gets a hole-in-one, comes right into the OR, and he's able to steal the enemy general gurney. So he's got him on the gurney. You can actually charge up the gurney by kicking it and sending it not across the database, but a pretty good distance, knocking it into enemies. You can also pass it to your buddies. You can form a posse around it, like you see up here, to protect him. And again, that's really the goal, right? So you're trying to keep him alive to get him to the helicopter. But at that point, the enemy's just trying to take him out because they know then he'll die. You'll have to go back to the hospital and grab another general. In this case, the sniper takes him out. The good news is you do have a character who has healing ability with her or with you, and she jumps on and resuscitates the general, and you're able to get him to the helicopter where you score a point. Now, there's a couple of different ways to score. You can do it the way we just saw on the rolling gurney. You can actually, in the hospital, transfer the general from the rolling gurney to the two-man carrying gurney. Harder to get across, have to work with the buddy. It's slower, worth more points. The final way you can score is, again, the goal is really to get the data out of the general's head and download it into the helicopter's computer. So you can actually sever the general's head. You can cut it clean off. And now you can get to the helicopter, 3 points. The challenge here is that he's only ahead, so he's got like about a minute before he basically dies. So this is worth more points, but it's a lot harder because you got to get across the level in much, much quicker time, and it requires a coordinated team effort. Okay, so this next mode is basically it's team deathmatch still, but it's between 2 giant robots, right? And so if you look, this is like Shadow of the Colossus meets deathmatch, where this, I don't know if we're going to be able to do the physics in Unreal to sort of let you do Shadow of the Colossus climbing on the outside of this, but I hope so. But worst case, we can jetpack in. An entire interior of this. You can fly the hand, you can control the bot like an AT-AT in Star Wars, and you can fight inside the interior of the bot as well. Each team has a robot of their own. Team A is over on the right, Team B on the left. I'm in my robot trying to steer it, use weapons, protect it. I'm going into your robot, trying to sabotage weapon systems, kill the pilot, and we're also going outside praying to the hand, and the hand will draw weapons. In this case, he draws a great weapon for my team's robot, takes out your robot with one hit. Just to note, the environment size is pretty good size for the small humans, but it's about the size of a fighting game arena for the bots. So just keeping scope in mind and wanting to be clear on that. Final example of unique modes. This is deathmatch poker. So this is straight up deathmatch with a meta layer of poker. So everybody's competing for this really cool grand prize chainsaw, and there's also virtual currency that forms the pot. Individual kills get you a card, double kills or kill streaks get you multiple cards, and kill streaks as well as headshots allow you to steal cards from enemy players. So again, the idea is to take the very addictive straight up straight up deathmatch and the very addictive poker and merge those together to create a really addictive mode that we feel is going to play fresher than many of the online multiplayer modes out there today. Our goal is to take this awesome online competitive experience and eventually grow it into really a huge, beloved, hardcore transmedia brand. And this is the way that we'd like to do it. So let's talk about campaign mode. So if you look back to the 90s when Tracy Ullman introduced The Simpsons, she did them in 1 minute, sort of little micro episodes that came on before her show. Similar with what Pixar does with their short cartoons that come before their features. We want to create short, playable episodes. We want to create these micro episodes that are about 15 to 25 minutes tops, totally playable, ideally with no cutscenes to tell the story. So it's all interactive. And that's how we want to create the brand. They're all standalone, although they fit within a bigger story, but you don't have to play episodes 1 through 3 in order for 4 to make sense. And basically, through playing these, the player will begin to understand a lot more about this cool world and this cool brand. So again, the vast majority of this story, of this world, takes place in the Notebook, and it really is like in a fantasy novel. The Notebook is our world map, or our Middle Earth, and the lands in the Notebook, the different cities and environments, are broken up by the Notebook's dividers, and the way the environments look in between the dividers, the different lands, are based on the classes that the kid goes to throughout the day. So this is what the world looks like in the homeroom part of the Notebook Divide. This is the history part, his history class of the Notebook Divide, where the artist or the kid has basically cut apart his history textbook and pasted black and white photos, totally 2D, mapped onto the environment. These aren't built out buildings, but he's pasted in collage style these photographs into the environment, so you get more historical battlegrounds and a visual style from not only stick figure drawings, but now also photographs. The kid also has an art class that he goes to. That allows us to have more color come into the levels, as well as have more imaginative locations, more creative locations, like the spaceport that we see here. Again, the kid's not a great artist. It's still very rough around the edges art style, but it definitely gives us much more visual variety. But the thing is, it's not just about the visual variety that we get from this. The story is intricately tied into this, because the characters that live in the different divides cannot stand each other. We have the sticks from the divide of European history class, and they absolutely cannot stand the sticks from music appreciation class. And these guys, these two armies have been fighting really for as long as they can remember. They don't know why they hate each other. They don't remember what the fight's about. You have the Algebra 101 sticks that are kind of like the enemy police of the entire Notebook. And these guys will attack anyone from any divide. They just want to control everything, right? So it really is just this ongoing war where you've got Algebra 101 sticks literally every night sending their shock troops over the walls of the divide to rape and pillage and take out the enemy factions from the neighboring classrooms. It really is, like we said in the beginning, it's like gang warfare. And then you've got these guys. These are the doodles. Now, they're very mysterious. No one even knows who's drawing them. They just kind of appear. And the various sticks, they're all terrified of them. They've been rounded up. They've been banished literally to the margins of the Notebook. But they'll escape, from their reservation from time to time and just tear the shit out of things. So they're very mysterious, very scary, very deadly characters that kind of go amongst the various divides and cause all kinds of havoc. But the one thing that all the sticks agree on is their hatred and their fear of the hand. They're just scared to death of their god. Because again, it can show up and help you 1 minute, and the next minute it's erasing your loved ones before your eyes. So everyone's afraid of the hand, and everyone hates it. Except one guy. So this is one of our two main characters. This is Cowboy. I've actually been calling him sort of the stick figure Jimmy Stewart because he's very noble. He's got a lot of integrity, and he believes he's constantly telling everybody in the Notebook. He's like, we have to trust the hand. We have to have faith in the hand. It moves in mysterious ways. Everybody else is like, dude, you're out of your fucking mind. This god is an evil god. It's awful. Just dive for cover and pray you survive. The cowboy's not willing to give up his faith. One day, though, the hand comes to his village and just tears the shit out of things and starts erasing the entire village, including Cowboy's family. And so it's his wife. He's hanging on to his wife. He's hanging on to his kid. And, they're getting erased, the family, and the wife's, like, screaming up to Cowboy. It's like, let us go. You have to let us go. And, Cowboy's just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And to the point that he actually, the eraser erases his hand because he refuses to let go of his wife. But he ends up, losing his family. And it's a very little pathetic scene. Again, no cutscenes. I'm hoping this is all done through gameplay, where he literally has to scoop up, the eraser shavings from his family. And he puts them in these little boxes, little pathetic boxes, and takes them out to the desert, and he buries them. And then he digs the third grave, his own grave, and he takes a shotgun, and he sticks it in his mouth, and he's about to kill himself. And this might even be sort of right where we end the first or one of the first micro episodes. But the idea would be that he says in his mind, he's like God or the hand or whatever he calls it. He's like give me a sign. It's like, show me that this is not what you want from me, because I'm pretty much done. And that's kind of, that's sort of where we leave Cowboy for a moment, and then we cut to our second main character. And now we're back in the real world, right? And so this character actually needs some art definition. We're just kicking around sort of what she might look like. But in the real world, back in detention where the artist is, there's this girl, and she's very wholesome and very kind of upper crusty and sort of from the right side of the tracks. And she's got this mad crush on the artist. And he gets, as he tends to do, he gets sent to the principal, and he's not there for the moment. And she goes up to his notebook, and like she doesn't see what's inside. He's like closed it or whatever. And she kind of just draws this little sketch on the cover or right on the inside of it. It's basically like, hey, text me, let's go out or whatever. So the kid gets back. The artist comes back from the principal, and he sits down. And he sees this. He's not paying any attention to the girl. He just sees, hey, it's a fucking stick figure. Maybe I forgot I drew this. Where did this come from? He doesn't care. He just takes the opportunity to start torturing this poor stick figure princess. And he's jabbing at her with the pencil, and she's kind of hanging on to the blue lines with all her might, trying to escape. But ultimately, to survive, she has to let go. And she tumbles into the notebook, into the artist's just horrible, nightmarish world. And so the princess is the second main character. And we actually cut back now at the beginning of one of the micro episodes where the cowboy about to kill himself in the desert basically sees her plummeting from the sky, and this is the sign from God that he's been waiting on. He's like, oh my God, I knew it, and so, with his belief restored, still incredibly sad, he rushes over to see what she needs and to save her and to help her. Now, the girl falls into this world, and she is scared out of her fucking mind because, again, she is only now realizing, holy cow, this artist, this guy who's writing in this notebook is fucked up, and all she can think of is, let me get out of here, and I have to escape. I have to warn my creator, my person, to make sure that she doesn't get in a car with this guy. She doesn't go out with this guy, and so what happens is it's kind of like this sort of twisted, dark Wizard of Oz, really, where the cowboy teams up with her and says, look, this is what the hand wants. Let me lead you out of this notebook, and they start this very epic journey across the divides of the notebook towards this tower, which is at the back of the notebook, which is the only way to ever escape. And as they go along the way, the princess kind of has her own arc, and she sort of becomes, she doesn't become Rambo, but she absolutely goes from being this very naive girl to sort of a confident, I guess young woman, really, who can take care of herself and begins to sort of, come into her own. The cowboy goes with her, obviously. All he wants is an audience, with the hand, and he's convinced that if he can just deliver this princess to the hand, as he's supposed to do, that the hand, he can ask the hand to redraw his wife and kid. And so the cowboy, leads her across the wilds of the notebook on this, totally action-packed and twisted journey. And as they go, Cowboy and Stick Figure Princess are the two main characters, but they collect these other characters, again, much in the same way of like Wizard of Oz. So one of the creepy doodles from the margins joins the party. Other characters join and then kind of peel off as they make their way to this tower off in the distance. And as they climb the tower, there are new characters they encounter as well. One of the characters is the artist in the real world has this little sister. She's like 5, a little kid, and she'll steal the artist's notebook at night sometimes. It totally pisses him off. But she'll take it and she'll draw her little drawings in there, her little cute little kid drawings, which is great because you can actually use them in the game. And so there's like this really cute looking pinkish fuchsia Pegasus thing, and it looks really cute. But it actually ends up being one of the toughest, most valuable battle units that you can get in the game. And the way that works is as you play through these micro campaigns, each one either has a weapon, a character, a unit, a mechanic that you can then unlock and own and bring into the multiplayer. But again, these are great. These flying units are great. But again, they die gruesomely like everything else in the game. But it's really fun to be able to collect, as you go through the story, things that are rare just to just to the campaign, and bring those into multiplayer. What ends up happening at the end, though, sort of the first sort of major arc, is that they do escape the tower at the very end. The princess escapes. The cowboy, he's fucking pissed, because he's in his mind, he's got it that this artist is like some sort of dude in white flowing robes and a throne, and he's wise, and he can make his pain go away. And he's like, you're just a fucking kid, you're a punk kid, and they fight. He ends up being the final boss battle is between Cowboy and the artist himself. And what ends up happening at the end is Cowboy ends up throwing the artist into his own notebook, and it almost becomes like Tron in a notebook, where we see the human artist, fall from this huge tower and sort of become a stick figure as he plummets and lands on the ground, and he kind of gets up, and he's now, the beginning of, if we're all fortunate enough to make, more stories in this universe, the next story would be sort of about the artist waking up in his own nightmarish world that he's created and having to deal with that. So if I had, which I don't, but if I wish I had Morgan Freeman's voice. I did this poster, sort of an interactive poster, but this would sort of be the interactive movie poster. Would look something like this, and you'd hear Morgan Freeman saying, in a world divided literally by dividers, 4 stick figure heroes are on a suicide mission to cross the lands of the 3-ring binder and climb the dark tower that will lead them up and out of the notebook and into our world, where they will murder the artist who drew them. And it's interesting, to me, because when I say this is like stick figure meet Tarantino, people think I'm just talking about the violence, which is absolutely, that's part of it, for sure. But it really is, again, going back to the brand idea, it really is very much this great epic revenge story that, when you look at some of his films, is there's kind of a thread running through them. So ideally, even though we're looking at these, very cartoony looking characters, you'll agree, like we do, that there is a lot of depth and a lot of, angst and pathos and just drama in this story and in this brand. And what's really cool too is that in multiplayer, even if we do minimal viable product and we don't do a single player for 6 months, seeds are planted everywhere, right? So you'll climb to the highest point of like a skyscraper city level in Team Deathmatch. You've never played single player at all. And you see this tower off in the distance, or you might look through a telescope on the pirate ship, and you can see off in the distance, you see like one of the doodles, and you're like, what is that? What is that about? But even in the multiplayer only, where there's no thought or no mention of single player, there's the sense of these seeds being planted that really sells the idea that there's a bigger world here that you've fallen into. And so again, brand for this, I think there's a lot of potential, and I'm really jazzed about the brand of Stick Figure Shootout.